All right, for today's video, I thought I'd talk about a tool I've been working on for some time. And it's definitely evolved quite a bit. Originally, and how it functions is it scrapes businesses from Google's Place API, otherwise known as what is it like TBM equals search API. It's a very obscure API. It's very undocumented, very difficult to get information from. However, there's a lot of information in it when it comes to if you want to know all businesses in a particular area, this is your best bet, as far as I'm aware. I think there are other options available too, but it's just what I standardized on. What's great about it too is it can surface business entities that otherwise have no or almost very little online presence. I don't know how Google finds out about it. Essentially what the goal of what I try to do is mine like get information out of Google's knowledge graph. Google's knowledge graph. There's more. It's how Google works. There's more than just like indexing web pages and keywords therefrom. Google also has what's called like a knowledge graph, which will track various attributes, for instance, like business entities across the whole web. So something could be mentioned in some random form, and Google might pick up on it if it's mentioned consistently. Um, and the applications are quite numerous. If you want to know, you can get, for instance, like name, address, contact details, but in very specific markets in a very specific area. And if you're interested in generating like data sets of all businesses of all like X businesses in this area, this is your best bet. And from there, I definitely have some stories to tell, but right now I just kind of want to focus on the technical side, how this works. How my system works, it's very much driven by CLI workflows. All right. I thought when I'm talking, I'll just activate a screensaver, assuming that's still working. And yeah, how my system works, very much driven by CLI workflows. It's semi-automated in the sense that how I invoke that place API is manual. But what I do is I monitor all traffic coming from a particular from the API that I'm concerned about. I record it to the disk, and then the downstream script, and then the downstream process will then take up all those snapshots, and then I have an entire pipeline built out for what is it like deserializing these payloads, extracting out the information that I'm interested in, and ultimately generating very clean, organized data sets from a particular session. Now, how it works is everything's organized in what I call campaigns, and for a campaign, there could be multiple sessions. Each session is usually like an individual, like browser recording, scraping session. Um, Downstream, eventually I'll process that down to a massive like JSON dataset files. From there, I can either emit like markdown formatted reports or anything in general. I just use a liquid templating engine. So it could be like markdown, arbitrary HTML reports, whatever. The other is a API for Metabase, which maybe I should get active. 1 second. Oh, crap. Anyway, I was just thinking. I just paused it for a moment, but yeah, there's Markdown reports. That's honestly what I use most of the time. I do have this alternate, essentially like a sink for the at the downstream end of the pipeline for Metabase. That was more for like taking this functionality and packaging it into like an end product that I could perhaps sell to others. But yeah, I cleaned up my computer just to for a few reasons. For one, I was almost out of space. I do so about once every year, just because yeah, I like massive blow from my miscellaneous projects, mostly from dev dependencies. But yeah, it occurred to me I'll have to redo the public key that I gave to my computer, and because Metabase that runs on my remote desktop, and I don't know. Do I want to talk about that today? It's definitely an interesting experiment. I think there could be real value proposition if I were to do this commercially. Um, huh. Getting that working though just seems like a lot of work. For now, I think I'm just gonna do the. Man, do I want to? Hang on. Okay, screw it. For today, I'm just gonna talk about the the entire system itself, everything except Metabase. However, Metabase is very interesting when it comes to, especially like overall market analysis. So, for instance, I have like tens of thousands of entities in that system, and from there, I have quite a few dashboards. So, for instance, just invoke the screensaver. I have quite a few dashboards that can, for instance, give me like a heat map of all businesses in a particular market across the entire like mainland US. I could see like a heat map per region, usually the state or smaller administrative region. That can be interesting. I can also, what's more useful is just understanding like of all businesses in this space. Suppose you're an agency and you cater to a business in a very particular type of market. I could do some miscellaneous like insights such as of all such businesses in America, here are some general attributes. For instance, like a third or 25% have no website, or maybe they list like Facebook as their website. Very common. Of those that do have websites, I can do miscellaneous like stats, more concerned for like SEO. But I don't know, it's not really something that interests me that much right now. What I'm particularly interested in is I don't know. It's been very useful, for instance, to like pass on to my younger brothers for just exploring potential careers because I don't know. I really just like the idea of using like online job applications for a few reasons. I feel like a lot of it's just crap, and usually, if there's something you're interested in, I feel like it's better to just reach out to people already in that market. And I was talking to my younger brother, and he's looking at joining the military, and he's currently unemployed. It's done definitely a lot of small things here and there, but I'm like, what if I could get you a data set that I thought would be the subject of today's video? What if I could get you a data set of all? Because, for instance, I want to say when you join the military, two things can look good among other signals. One is consistent employment, and the other may be like I don't know what they call it, but I'm quite certain this is the case. Like referrals from someone who's already like in the army, for instance, if you're joining the army. And I don't know, maybe you could kill two birds with one stone. Find a small business owner who you could contact directly, get hired by him. And for one, that'll show consistent like employment. But also, if he really likes you, he might be able to, I don't know, get a positive referral from him. So to that end, though, how do you get a clean data set of all businesses in a particular region that happen to be owned by a veteran? Not so obvious. It's not like there's a central catalog out there somewhere, but via some creativity, we can generate such. Now, I want to say he's interested in becoming an electrician. So maybe for today, we're going to get a catalog of all electricians in the local area. Um, so right now, how my system works is I have this giant like Toml, like I don't know, will this be like a manifest, whatever, system config format. And I generated everything is organized via campaigns. For each campaign, there could be multiple sessions. Each session kind of corresponds to a particular like browser recording instance. Usually, there's just one session per campaign. I created one for today, April video recording demo. And let's see, it is well, still in the 12 o'clock range. All right, one. Yeah. Yeah, may as well just dive in. So yeah, let's get a list. Let's start with maybe electricians in my local area, and from there we're gonna process that down into not just businesses of interest, but those who happen to be veteran-owned small companies. And yeah, it's a kind of challenge. I thought I'd just do a live recording. So right now, what I'm going to do is invoke the front end cargo run browser recorder dash dash run session, the session ID. All right, I'm back. I thought for privacy reasons I would spin this up in a I don't know. Now, all right, here's the tool I invoked. Cargo run. I call it the browser recorder with the current session. Um, Am I recording? Just to be sure. I always get paranoid that like maybe the mic will just die or whatever. It's very frustrating because it won't like emit a beep when the power's about to fail. And yeah, sometimes I'll be doing like a voice memo, really just to myself, but I'll be like working out and then it'll just die halfway through, and yeah, I don't know. All right, so here's how it works. Let's just type in all electricians. So yeah, as you can see, here's the API we're interested in. Search TBM equals map API. Everything else just is just noise. This tool can also be used for really just scraping all traffic from a site and then serializing it to disk. Maybe just expand this by a bit. So yeah, this is the one part that is semi-manual. I could probably do this more programmatically. Multiple ways I can do it. Part of the problem is I don't want to like get banned by Google. So if I do this too well, it might cause problems. Um, and I don't know. I never had a reason to. I try to avoid like prematurely optimizing things, and I never had a reason to like. Yeah, invoking this API manually, very difficult crafting those API responses and getting that right. I have found a clever way where it seems like I can use metadata from the response to craft a new request, but with different like query, like with a different like term search query. That's one thing I'm definitely interested in. But I don't know. For right now, this works well enough. Let's focus on around Utah Lake. So yeah, right now I'm just scraping, scraping, scraping. All right, is this sufficient? Perhaps. Electricians. Yeah, I think he's joined the army, wants to become an electrician. Not a bad idea, in a way. And yeah, I don't know. This thing can be somewhat tedious. Usually, whenever I make up my mind to do something like this, I'll just reserve like an hour of the day. It's usually something I do like at the end of the day. Uh, and yeah, I don't know. There's multiple ways to invoke the client. Part of the reason too is if I were to manually craft these API requests and execute that, I'd end up like I don't know, seem like recreating quite a bit of the Google Maps client. All of this is subject to like uh, break it, like subject to break at any moment. So in general, I don't know. This just seemed like the simplest, most robust options. Since I really had no reason to just scale it up. The only part that's tedious is really the downstream API. It was really like downstream data compiling part. So yeah, scraping. Okay, that's probably enough for today. So what I'm gonna do is go from there to the data compiler. And yeah, it's gonna try to connect to a Postgres database running on my desktop. It's set up with Ubuntu, but I really just use it as a server right now. And yeah, but that is not set up to connect right now, so it's probably gonna crash at some point. But yeah, all these. All right, it's getting to that point. There's not that many businesses in that session. But what I want to do is go over here, and here is the markdown report. I got 637 entities in that scrape. And right now, how it works is this is a fairly how this it's fairly generalized. So For instance, if I go down to system, this is the liquid template that generated this markdown report. I find this flexibility very convenient compared to using Metabase. And yeah, maybe it's good that there's only like 600 entities, because if there's like 1,000, tens of thousands, everything can get very slow at that point. And yeah, there's tons of information. I don't know why too in these payload responses, but way too much that I don't know what most of it means. One thing I would definitely like to get is priority, so I can kind of filter businesses that tend to rank higher than others. Because sometimes I don't want like bigger. I want to only like expose or surface like small businesses in the pre-processing side. Um, but yeah, I do have quite a bit of metadata already. So right now it's just an array of objects, very structured at this point. Name, site, link, domain, phone number, quite a few phone numbers of different formats, location, null, there's a place ID. I want to say this is the one identifier that tends to be very stable for a given business. One thing that I've been wondering about though is there an identifier, not for like the establishment itself, the actual location, but also for like Home Depot. Um, there are many like these franchises, like businesses that are a franchise of some larger corporate entity or whatever. It'd be nice if I could get that, especially filtered out. Display label categories, inferred categories, geographical points, schedule. Um, yeah, now I think what I am interested in is the auto-generated inferred information. So let's just keep going. These are all nulls. Oh, yep, it just crashed. To do gracefully ignore site features when disabled. Yeah, let's do cat output sessions. Actually, let's just copy the relative path for that. JQ. I really just like how long these paths get. It can be very descriptive for organizing, but yeah. Let's see, what's path I'm interested in? Inferred services. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to I term two profiles. It's a fresh system just to clean everything up. Maybe for now, I'll just go to 10,000. Let's see. I'm gonna possibly I might want to redo that. So I do like it has this like sticky header feature. That's kind of interesting. Usually, whenever I reinstall iTerm2, I have to like then devote some time to removing stuff that I just don't care about. I think what I'm gonna do is select every business where inferred categories is not equal to null. Is that correct? Apparently not. Uh, okay, much better. And from there, I just want to inferred categories. I wonder if there's a way to make this smaller. Yeah, I thought I'd just do a live session so people can kind of like, I don't know, see how I solve problems. Service options has service repair online. So it might be the wrong field I'm looking at. Oh, yep. Hey, look at that right there. Is owned by disability. I don't know. Some ways I don't always like this identity-based stuff. Um, but I don't know. In this case, very convenient. Except maybe if it's veterans, I don't know. Yeah. A lot of people I've known some veterans. I do kind of wish I joined the military. Honestly, maybe it would have been better. But yeah, I talked to some guys who are in the military, and yeah, really bad experience. But I don't know. All right, so at this point, what I'm going to do is create basically something like this system. Do I want to organize it a little more? It's my domain blacklist, report, markdown, MD, markdown template, is trend recording sample. I don't know. What's the identifier called? Is owned by veterans. Geotype establishment. There we go. Sure, they have a default task and then reorganize everything under that. Kind of want to actually. Reporting. All right, from there I'm gonna have to update all my existing reports. It might seem very confusing. Maybe to some extent it is. Now I'm gonna have another preprocessor. I should really do like preprocessor trees because I want everything from this one plus. Actually, no. For now, I'm just gonna do a new one. So there are different stages at which point. What I want. Let's see. Early reports. I'll explain this all in a second. Okay, so is owned by veterans. I'd rather can I do paths? Really depends how I'm concatenating that. All right. From there, let's go to the data compiler. Make sure everything over here is going to be correct. I'm definitely pre-processing this. Let's see. Sessions, all sessions. All right, so what I want to do is, right now I changed it. So instead of file name, it's really a directory relative path. So I just want to make sure that however I write that to the file is going to work and not cause problems. And I want to say that happens somewhere right here. Source ingester success. This all got very complicated lately. Definitely unnecessarily so. This is probably what I'm looking for. All right. From there, it's going to be ingest processor equals iter processors for that entity website reports. Liquid output path join. Oh yes, that should work quite well. Okay. Yep. I knew it was probably going to be fine by default, but I don't know, I just wanted to be sure. So the output file name is going to be that report has site markdown. Now, going back to the directory structure, is owned by veterans. I did kind of clear out ChatGPT just for this. Not that I do anything crazy on here, but I don't know. You never know what could show up in your like suggestions or whatever. All right. Yeah. How do I want to communicate this to ChatGPT? So I don't honestly use ChatGPT that often, but for very miscellaneous stuff like this, it seems very convenient. All right. Right here, I need to break this off and do a separate line. Okay. No, just ignore that. Being too much of a perfectionist. Maybe I'll just write it up. All right. So from here, let's see. What do I want? If well, for one, I'm gonna base it off of this one as the root. I really need to add in more metadata for it to kind of simplify it. Let's see, for E in entities. Oh man, it's gonna be complicated. Missing the liquid. So everything's still working. Mike hasn't died. Yep, seems to be so. All right. All right, that should be working. Great. So, where is it? I almost never do liquid that often, so I need to like refresh my knowledge on the syntax. I really just like it for one. I'd much rather. I start working on actually my own system. It's more like instead of a text interpolation, whatever. It's I want something that's more akin to like macro evaluation, AST evaluation. Okay, so this is going to be an entity, and then from there, there's going to be inferred categories. And this is one problem. The file name is going to be the same as that under the default, but it's just occurred to me that I need to make sure I'm not editing the wrong site. In fact, I should probably update my save. Let's see, developer system, data broker tools, Git. All right, I really should have probably done this. This is a terrible commit message, but I just did it. Okay, so there is inferred categories, and going back to here, what I'm looking for is something with this key. Now, how can I do that? There's inferred categories, and then from there is going to be, let's just get that key, children, and what I'm looking for is something with this attribute. Assign inferred categories. If nah, it's gonna be complicated. All right, so if that okay, all right, screw it. I'm just gonna ask ChatGPT honestly. I need a liquid snippet that can assign a boolean if uh, if e.g. this exists in the following. If this key exists in the following example, the following. I'm probably overthinking this. the objects is make sure I'm still recording. Everything should be good. Yeah, it's been going on for 30 minutes. Yeah, didn't that just save me some time? Ordinary. Once upon a time, I think people kind of overblow the value of ChatGPT because once upon a time, this would be multiple Stack Overflow lookup like searches, and then from there, I'd probably take something that's very general and then adapt to my specific use case. Um, hmm. Do I want that or do I want the compact version? But yeah, I'd say that worked out quite well. Assign is veteran owned for category and for category if child equals in category of children if at that break. All right, if is veteran owned. Now, what is this doing? I think that's just breaking the outer. Now, if is there an if not? How do I negate this? If veteran, I suppose perhaps I can always do something like this. All right, let's just do it. See what happens. This report, there's two phases to the Markdown report, like reporting templating system, whatever you want to call it. I just call it the reporting system. And one is early on when there's the only information it knows is really from the information it was able to pull from the Google Place API for a particular entity. Then after that, I do some miscellaneous pre-processing. For instance, if it has a website, I'll do some basic requests. Nothing sophisticated. I just use like a static HTTP client and see what's returned without like JavaScript evaluation, which can itself be useful. But that will be at the what's called a fully resolved stage in the pipeline. And this I set the phase to early. So let's see if this worked. Huh, that did not work. Huh. Not only that, this counter should reflect the other thing. Wait, what I want to do is continue specifically. Now, if veteran owned is equal to false, maybe it's good that I didn't scrape too many entities in that session. I don't know if I do it for like a half an hour to an hour, I can get tons. And not only that, right now I can. Right now, I usually just put on like either a long YouTube video, playlist, or like audiobook or something. And I just reserve like an hour whenever I'm generating a comprehensive data set for something. Unless I'm only concerned about a particular state. Okay, well, this is interesting. I'm getting tons of new lines. Actually, this may actually be working. Huh. There's so much white space in it though. How am I gonna do that? Maybe I'll just give it. This has way too much white space for skipped. You know, while I'm here, I may as well fix one other problem. Make sure I'm still recording. Usually I do a real rep 30 minutes. I'll switch to the other mic because it suddenly dies. I really need to write a script that can like tell me when the mic input suddenly, I don't know, like goes to 0. I may as well try that solution right now though. Oh crap. Alright, this is really the one thing I care about right now. Why did it remove that continue? It seemed like that would have been the simplest solution. Alright, screw it. Let's just try it. Alright, now going back to this. Let's see if I got something cleaner. Yeah, I should have just kept it to like no more than like 100 businesses. So I could iterate much more quickly. Much better. Except, there needs to be a new line right there. I'll base that fix off of this one though. Alright, jumping back to this one. In some ways, I do wonder how much more complicated this is compared to like I could just create a metabase dashboard or like a card query, whatever. That can then display it in I don't know, like sometimes I go back and forth between. For some reason, I just stick with Markdown reports, but like metabase reports could be very convenient. It's more spreadsheet-like though. I don't know, not really accustomed to that. I could also, I thought about this, doing a backend where instead of Metabase, it will output like Excel spreadsheet, auto-generated Excel spreadsheets. Because from there, I can bake in all the data I want, including like pre-made visuals, whatever. It's actually a good idea in some way. All right, did I fix that? It does seem like problem persists. That's definitely being applied though. So yeah, of that data set, there is oh crap, wait, did I base this on the wrong file? Okay, why is this saying has site, but over there it's saying that? Oh, yep, my mistake. So I think what I want to do is do establishment. Oh, I'm really torn on that. All right, is mic still working? Yes. Seems like the birds have left. I do kind of like doing this in the morning or at night when the birds are out. I don't know. All right, now that I am generating that, I will should have this. I wonder if I'm being a little too specific on the directories though. I don't know. Okay, everything is working except for those new lines. Which is going to be right here. Oh, that's annoying. The heck is this end capture? Capture veteran owned input. Uh, I've never seen that before, that's for sure. Hmm. All right, let's just ask ChatGPT instead of tweaking random things. Oh, crap. Oh, well. Just to make sure I understand context. Change this line to this line. Yeah, see, all it's doing is removing that. I knew I could have done that. I like to think. Actually, wait a minute. Hang on. Am I really just filtering that? That seems like the wrong one. FE name. And it can't be that one. Oh yeah, I knew it was that one. All right, computer's slowing down for some reason. The heck is this? Ask for. All right. I wonder if I should bump that up to 60 frames a second. I don't know if this thing's really keeping up. Hopefully I don't have to redo this. Because yeah, the log is going way faster. It seems like the frame rate can keep up, going faster than perhaps the frame rate or whatever. Okay, definitely a step in the right direction, except it's something auto format. All right, rerunning that. Should be generating right now. And I would say everything is working quite well too. Business entities, report total. Why am I doing that? Yeah, I don't know what this thing is, but I've never seen that before. So strange. It's always interesting when ChatGPT generates something that is very surprising. Oh yeah, there's the problem. It's probably that, I want to say. I feel like because what I'm essentially doing is I'm reusing. I want to reuse all of these, but for a specific but with specific filters. And I almost wonder if I should have a more general, like maybe like JQ based filtering mechanism, as opposed to baking in more complicated filtering logic for each entity, especially when I do so like at the very beginning. Instead of baking in filtering logic at the JQ, I mean at the liquid like templating evaluation level layer. But anyway, going back to here, does seem like new lines, everything is working as desired. Um, so yeah, let's see. What kind of businesses did I get? Open mark. 11 entities. Place link. I would say these entities, they do seem to get consistently high ratings. However, one of the things I've noticed from my Medbase market analysis is that, yeah, Google ratings way overinflated. the average across like 40,000 businesses of various types, it's like 4.5. And when the average is like 4.5 for like all like this includes some comprehensive reports. It's just like it's almost meaningless at that point. Yeah, never trust Google reviews. But yeah, I would say this thing worked out very well. Is that all I want to do in today's session? It was a very simple change, but the results very useful. I would love to. Sometimes I wonder if I should just pursue this tool professionally because it's quite a bit I could build out if I had the reason to do so. Um, has wheelchair accessible parking. Most of these contain either services or accessibility. Let's do man, there's identify as a woman owned, but what if I'm only interested in businesses that are identified as male owned? So one thing I hate about these attributes in Google, they're only like political attributes. Um, and like I don't know, what if I'm only interested in this is actually a legitimate use case. Businesses owned by men. Um, is hang on, what's it called? Is this is actually very useful. Let's focus on this one right now. Geotype established. I don't know what it means by small business, but copy that identifier is small business. Um, okay, geotype. I think I actually want to break this into something a little more specific. Now, what's the other one? Has on-site services. Let me think. Is and then from there is small business is women owned. From here, copy relative path. Go over to here. Okay, so there's that one. Hang on. Actually, system reporting default is woman owned, is veteran owned. This is where it's about to get very messy because I kind of want to do repeat some of these. This is why I really need a huh. Okay, well for now I only have so many. Can I have these new lines? Is that going to break markdown formatting? I mean, what's it called? Toml to JSON. Just test this real quick. Yeah, no, I want to say this is loud. What if there's a new line right there? Okay, everything seems good. All right, let's run this, make sure I don't break anything. Make sure mic is still recording. Cancel test. Oof, man, it's worried for a sec. Usually I'll set an alarm clock, so like after 30 minutes, I'll change the mic. And I'm definitely getting to the hour-long mark. There's no indication on battery too. So yeah. All right, I should be getting my reports right now, assuming nothing broke. All right, now from here, geo. Oh crap! I need to redo the. Okay, so here I updated the path, but geotype establishment is veteran owned, is woman owned. All right, redo that. Now, while that is running, let's see if I got all the stuff I'm interested in. Wheelchair. Seems like most of what concerns me is from that. So I got small business. What other identities are there? Identify as Latino owned, woman owned, disabled. Um, Maybe I can add this. I don't know. Just be comprehensive, I guess. All right, the profile should be generating right now. So let's remove that. It's actually a good idea how I organize this hierarchically. Is veteran owned, report, markdown. That does not seem right. There's 12 businesses that are woman owned. What about the small business one? 10 small businesses. I don't know what counts as a small business. Woman and veteran owned. Huh. Now, do I want to do? I'm kind of curious to add this disabled owned. Um, hmm. Okay, so disabled owned, Latino owned. Why not? I'll skip that. The one that really interests me is small business. I don't know what counts as it though. I know that's very like most of these seem like small businesses. That'd actually be kind of helpful in some settings though. I'm kind of curious to rerun this on an older, more comprehensive data set. Um, hmm. Default geotype establishment. For instance, I know some of these are quite comprehensive. Maybe let's do the one I ran this morning, which is session ID. This one, cargo run dash p data compiler run session. That one. This one, I want to say it's in the thousands, not super comprehensive. So I don't know, just gonna maybe get a little more diversity in that regard. Actually, looking at copy relative path. Let's go to developer systems, data compiler. Okay. From here, you know, I was talking to some guy, and like I've always had this sense growing up of like soft, like quality. Like I just wanted to do great work. And I was talking to this one guy, and he was talking about how, like, I don't want to say just Mexicans, like I don't know Latinos, those from the Americas south of the USA border. In fact, I think migration, like immigration from Mexico to America, immigration among Mexicans specifically has been negative. But yes, he made this remark that apparently Latinos they just do better work in some areas than like their white counterparts. So I thought it was interesting. I feel like I should have got into an area where quality is a little more um, I don't know. Like people are a little more conscious that they want great work. It's in software, it's all crap, and there's really no desire to change that. I love how they do establishment POI. Is that political oriented identity? So if I want to look at all of those of this type, I don't know. It also includes welcomes LGBTQ, as if some businesses don't. I don't know. Bare properties holder is transgender safe space. Apparently, some I don't know something about it I just find very interesting. This is from Google, by the way. These aren't identifiers I came up with. Hmm. It's interesting. They just distinguish between welcomes LGBTQ and LGBT, but it doesn't seem like there's an identifier for is owned by such a person. Oh wait, never mind. There is. You know, I was talking to this lawyer once who I found from the system, and he said he was gay. But I'm really curious if he is known by Google to be such. Oh, I actually kind of want to add it for some reason. Is small business. Hmm. Yeah, no, it's interesting that they differentiate between welcomes LGBTQ, but then if you want to be a little more specific, welcomes transgender space. As if actually here it's actually fairly controversial, where a lot of gay guys they don't really like the whole trans thing. Um, all right, of the other identities, small business is woman owned, and I may as well be add this as well, just to be comprehensive, I guess. Okay, so I need to make sure this is all under from the business field. Um, hmm. So going back, establishment requires appointments, office appointments, small business, requires appointment, small business, requires appointment, office appointment, offers appointment. Maybe I should sell this. I don't know. I do feel like it could have utility. I've since seen some GitHub stuff crop up, very similar to what I'm doing. I kind of regret talking about this online in a way, because yeah, it definitely didn't get me anywhere, and people like it. They just copy you without like I don't know. Especially, what's interesting too is there's like a local place, but there's like some people from India. I don't know if they sometimes join like region Pacific servers in Utah. I don't know. Has on. All right. Stay focused. One Asia requires appointment, office appointment. I don't know if I really want those appointment stuff. I don't really see the utility of that. Requires appointment, office appointment is black owned. Forgot to update Asian is Asian owned. Okay, so is owned by Asian is wait, what's wrong? I'm completely screwing this up right now. Okay, so going back here is black owned. Okay, good. I need to update those identifiers as well. Is owned by Asian, is owned by disability, is owned by Latinx, is owned by that, is owned by veterans, is okay. Oh crap, this is under a completely different. It's a completely different identifier. Why is it under a different namespace? That's interesting. Do I want to break with that? Really tempting. At the very least, I need to update these. Maybe what I'll do is, let's see, geotype. Assign target identity. I don't know. I'll get that later. Honestly, it doesn't really matter. I feel like renaming it might be more confusing for some reason. I don't know. But for now, let's get all these set up. Okay, so right here, really. Okay, so is from there we're gonna do there, from there we're gonna do that. Should be correct. Is business, is woman, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. Okay, well, may as well just run it, see what happens. I want to do the smaller data set. Get results from that early on. All right. Now I got to rerun this, see if that works. It's actually kind of a useful change. It's getting very messy on this side, though. I've really just been like, I don't know, one small incremental thing at a time. And after a while, everything just gets layered in a manner that's very messy. Hopefully, I wasn't too soon. Aren't there more reports? Why am I missing a few? Perhaps there aren't any. I should see empty files at that point, though. Weird. Now let's go back to the system setup. So, uh, is agent should be correct. Going back to my I need to rename veteran. I'm just not sure what, so I'm just going to do nothing until I make up my mind. I don't know. When the more you generalize, the more confusing it can be. And I don't know. I'll just change that later. I need to make sure all of these are for sure under the particular field called from business entities. Okay. Well, so small businesses, I would expect that to be much larger. Veteran owned, LGBTQ zero. There are zero gay electricians, I guess. Latinx five, disability one, owned by Asians two, and zero. This is Utah though. It's like predominantly one type. All right. Yeah, it's very interesting. Now, if I want to do this for a larger business, a lot of this, I'm keeping the liquid can really be the same for a lot of these. I'm just varying. I almost feel like I really need to move to maybe like emitting not markdown files, but like auto-generated spreadsheet files. because then I could do additional like ad hoc filtering within like Excel or whatever. That's definitely something to look into down the road. Now, if Metabase was working, I could then do like miscellaneous stats, like of all the businesses in that session that I scraped earlier. What's like the average Google review rating? I don't know. Can be useful. But yeah, I think that would wrap it up. I'm just gonna let's inspect the one we already generated. So going down to here, sessions, video recording. Um, Now is owned by veterans. Yeah, we got contact details. My markdown is rendering this as a color, very undesirable. Some businesses they have massive like I don't know, like a category tree. It really bloats things. Um, hmm. And yeah, overall, I'd say everything is working. Now, on his end, what is he going to do? Well, one thing that could be useful is bringing up particular businesses. This is one thing that can get annoying. There's no address, it would seem. This guy's also missing a website. Unless we go to, what is that? Secure Fix? Seems like it does have a website. He just didn't enter it into Google. Handyman, handy woman, handy person. Huh. Okay. Photos, videos, overall. Yeah. There's this one. Here's one that has a defined website. Usually, when I load up these sites, oh yeah, I may as well talk about some of my other miscellaneous tools. So, in addition to actually, let's go back. Data compiler, sessions, copy relative path. A lot of what I do, it's also the workflows themselves. So, for instance, I have this one site that I call okay, I think how this works is via session name. So what I want is to trim that down. This should give me a file called links. So what I'm going to do is script website opener, compile links, session name. Okay, this is excluding all veteran-owned companies actually. How do I want to do that? What I essentially want is this, but for JSON. Huh. Yeah, I don't know. Do I want to redo that JQ filter? I really need to fix this. Anyway, how I would ordinarily do this is, okay, compile links. And originally, I would just invoke the, let's see, what does this want? Wants the link. So scripts, website, opener. I've since learned that I have to do this in a private browsing window. Okay. This very convenient for quickly cycling through like all websites in a given data set. Especially when you're doing like design. That's why I talk about like the versatility of these tools. Like, say you're a designer, you pick up a new client in a new industry, and you just want to scout out the competition. This very convenient for just seeing like first impressions across like hundreds of competing options. It can be very boring and tedious though, but yeah, like this site, very plain, broken. Um, I do wonder if I should just reach out to people and just offer to do work on the side. You had to make up my mind on that though. Yeah, certainly. This could probably be better. Especially you have this like background image, and oh man, everything about this could be better. I prefer sites that adapt to the color scheme because right now I'm outside. It's hard to read. Not necessarily bad though. Looks very cookie cutter though. But yeah, when you're doing like hundreds of these sites, you really have to do it in a private browsing session because yeah, otherwise your history is going to get overloaded really fast. This is in here twice. It's interesting right here. And when it comes to this is why I don't like design though, because I feel like the best way to do web design isn't really what allows you to stand out as a designer. But yeah, in some ways, like I've really nothing wrong with lists like these. It could definitely be better. Like the overall formatting could definitely be better, but it's simple. They got a simple drop down of everything you're concerned about. As far as like this multi-dimensional list of all services offered. However, I suspect how they're doing is probably just hard-coded breakpoints. Um, Layout-wise, they could probably fix a couple things, but yeah, I don't know. Compared to something like this, which is like dark, very hard to read. However, I'm getting to the point where I'd really want like a sub version of that data set. Um, yeah, I don't. I need to start like reworking how some of these tools themselves work. Um, what the heck is a site? I can't even read it. Like, look how dim the font is. Assuming my Window's still recording. The other major annoyance is sites that take like a second or two to load. So otherwise, that really slows me down. I'm trying to like cycle through as fast as possible. Like this, way too big. I don't know. All right, moving on. Broke down. Taking time to load. Yeah, like that other guy who just did a simple, almost like markdown formatted list of services, subservices, whatnot. Like, I really appreciate just simplicity. Um, images are actually really hard when it comes to web design. I don't know why. Maybe it's just me who thinks that way, but I don't know. Yeah, these navigations, sticky header that is completely broken. And then it's like what is going on with the site? I've noticed something from using these tools though that I thought was interesting. Consistently, now sites for small businesses in Utah are of like one standard, but yeah, sites but like it seems like the more west you go in America, the better sites get. So like if you're on like the west coast of America, like very benign businesses have very well designed websites. And in some ways, that's in stark contrast to the East Coast, where you can get like very profitable businesses on that side. But like, I don't know, in some ways, those sites there's definitely like a higher quality on average compared to those in the middle of nowhere, like Utah. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting how like consistently site design seems to get better the further west you go in America, especially like West Coast, especially when you're comparing the West Coast to the East Coast in terms of like overall like how well designed the site is for small businesses. Hmm. All right, next site. Plumbing, multi-dimensional list. Another thing I'm really a strong advocate of is just simple static sites served from a static file server. Seems to be a redundant entry. In general, I should be filtering out redundant businesses, but I don't know, I suppose you can only do so well. Uh, I wish they would just avoid these things, especially when there's like what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You don't need to do programmatic drop-down navigation for something like that. All right, Facebook should have been filtered out. I want to say I closed that as well. Why am I not reloading? Maybe I'm at the end of no, it can't be at the end of the list. All right, yeah, it's not the most convenient script because now I have to like cycle through all the way back to where I left off. All right, well, I prematurely ended that original stream. I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm like that much of a noob, but I don't know. It's been a while since I've done any recordings. Usually, it's just documenting work to send to someone. But yeah, I just wanted to. I think I'm done with regard to where I left off. Um, Talking about this system, I just wanted to redo. I just wanted to add some concluding remarks. So far, what did we talk about? The two main tools that I call the data broker. That's part of the what I call the data broker system. One is for getting scraping the Google Place API, otherwise AKA the search TBM equals map API. Because this is like an unofficial, undocumented API. It's actually quite a bit of work to kind of reverse engineer that API. Like you have no idea how much trouble I went through to get that working. Which is I don't know, maybe I could just keep it a trade secret, or I could talk about down the road. And then the other tool is really the data processing side. I skipped the Metabase backend. I'll talk about that later. Most of it has been the Markdown reporting side. It's very complicated. This is designed to be very general purpose because I don't know. I like to change up the heuristics I use for I don't know, just being very specific with regard to whatever entities I'm interested in. It could definitely save a lot of time too. And yeah, I talked about that. I think in the future, what I'm going to focus on is emitting like auto-generated, like I don't know, like Microsoft Excel spreadsheet files, because then I could bake in both the data as well as like visualizations, miscellaneous stuff that's convenient, and um, and I don't know, it might be easier for more like ad hoc workflows from the like I don't know, using a spreadsheet app or whatever. Um, But yeah, more generally, I just want to talk about the overall, like the broad utility. I've discussed some of it. A lot of this could be very useful for small agencies that specialize in businesses in a particular market. For instance, there are some agencies that work for not just like this is like old school. I want to say that market's probably maxed out, but like contractors, but maybe very contractors in very specific markets. Uh, but I don't know. There are others that'll work with like all gun owner, like all like gun related businesses, and from here I can generate like a data set of like all gun related businesses in this in a particular state, which they can then hand off to their like sales team for whatever strategies they come up with. For designers, I discussed the utility. You can really quickly iterate over like what the sites are like for your competition, both locally and then maybe. I didn't mention that. It seems like sites get better in quality the further west you go, especially once you get to the West Coast. So you can also compare that to businesses along the West Coast. Um, so yeah, there's lots of, and not just it's not just the tools themselves, but also the workflows you come up with. Metabase, that's more like market. I don't really call it like market analysis, business. What do you call it, like business intelligence? I think there are people who do this professionally. They probably have no idea the stuff I've been working on. That like such some of the stuff I've discovered that even some of the ideas that are going through my head, they probably have no idea that such is impossible. Which can be very useful for if you're interested in like I don't know, like what things are like in aggregate. Um, and yeah, moving on. One of the, but maybe in a very broad manner. I just find the idea of like understanding economies, like there's so much diversity to even like very small states like Utah. There's so much diversity when you look at the local, when you look at like economies in a given area that like people have really no idea like even exists. I've uncovered businesses that are definitely very questionable if they are legal via these kind of tools. And but like that's not something I'm really that interested in. But like I've uncovered I don't know, I just find it like fascinating, just the variety of like options. It's probably why communism failed because for capitalism to succeed, you need diversity. Perhaps due to the diversity stability hypothesis. And when we look at like economies in America, very complicated. There's a lot of commercial activity that people are probably no that people probably have no idea even exists. Um, and yeah, I just find it fascinating because one thing I've definitely discovered from using these tools is that if you're interested in a particular market, now the stuff that a lot of stuff I do is can be done anywhere. It's both good and bad. I think the bad people really don't talk about enough. And it's the fact that you can't just be the best, but you have to be like globally competitive compared to geographically dependent like services. You can be best, but it's really in like local terms. Uh, and but like even then, when you're looking at like businesses with some kind of like geographic like relevance, the difference between maybe even it applies to like what I do because there's certainly businesses that prefer people to come in like be within the given area, so they can still have like meetings in person if desired. But yeah, like the difference between like 200 miles can be not only the difference between making like six figures or not, but having a business that, but like the difference between, like, it could also be the difference between having more customers than you can handle, having to bring on more employees just to grow the business and meet demand for for such markets. And yeah, I just find that fascinating that like 200 miles can be night and day when it comes to small businesses. It's something people really don't really probably think about that often. I don't know. Maybe I talked about it before, and people are like it's obvious, but I don't know. It definitely wasn't so obvious to me. I kind of had to figure that out firsthand. But then from there, like there's so much I mentioned variety to businesses that in a given region that I don't know. Even for markets that are very saturated, there are most certainly niches. With it, like even if you were look at like moving to Chicago, very saturated. But at the same time, there's so much variety, and yet there are probably still niches within those economies that people have no idea that are very profitable that people have no idea even exist. So I don't know. It's been something that I've been interested in on the like data analysis side. Can I uncover niches that are very profitable but overlooked? Um, and I don't know. I feel like it's definitely a step in the right direction. It's probably why I've been interested in like the Google's knowledge graph in particular because I want to find out about businesses that have otherwise no online presence. And I don't know, the work continues in that regard. Just to like, I feel like Google's knowledge graph. It doesn't just pertain to sites. They're like they know so much when it comes to local economies that would be amazing if I could get direct access to. But it's locked down, and I think even Microsoft they had something that was open to the public. But yeah, I think they've recently shut it down for whatever reason. I don't know why, but I don't know. Maybe you got to have like special relationships or whatever to get access to it. But yeah, these big tech companies that have this kind of infrastructure out there, it's not something anyone can do, and there is like value to like what they to these knowledge graphs that definitely underappreciated, I don't know, underlooked. I don't know, and I don't know, for anyone who's looking to get a job, there's certainly utility to this. I often find that just talking to people, they can be interested in, I don't know, considering you for employment or whatever, bringing you on board. While at the same time, if you're looking at starting a business, you really got to don't focus on ideas, focus on what people are already doing. And then from there, you want to look at the existing market, both in wherever you're looking at opening up, as well as that market in general, like across like nationally, like see what the best are doing. I don't. There's like I feel like don't focus on ideas. Focus on well, for one, they say it's not the idea, it's the execution that matters. But also, like look at who's already in a given. Look at your competition, and I don't. You can learn a lot from that. Because for one, maybe even I don't know, maybe the business itself is fairly unique, but look at companies that are kind of adjacent to whatever it is that you're interested in, and just see if you can reach out to them and see what the local economy is like. As I mentioned, 200 miles can be night and day when it comes to earning potential. And I definitely have more ideas on my mind in this regard that perhaps I'll elaborate on in future videos. And yeah, I've since discovered that quality is terrible. So yeah, it's definitely a first experimental run. And yeah, signing out. Or wait, before I sign out, yeah, I do expect these things to get better over time if I decide to keep doing these. Really, for one, just start documenting my work because I've worked on tons of projects that I don't know didn't really go anywhere. This project itself is actually closed sourced, at least it should be. And I don't know, it might be value to what's in my head. So yeah, maybe I should start documenting it, putting it up, talking about such stuff online, see if it interests anyone. And yeah, anyway, signing out, or not signing out and recording.